Hey, welcome back. It's Wednesday edition of Liquid Lunch. It's usually Women Wednesday, but with the short week, women just didn't want to come in on Wednesday, so we got the best guys we can get today. And to follow up with after Jim Awad, we bring in another courageous American journalist who puts himself in harm's way to demonstrate his right to free speech. He's been on with us before by Skype, and joining us today in the studio, Andy Ngo. Andy, thank you very much for joining us, for coming on in here to Liquid Lunch. And Liquid Lunch goes out to a very libertarian audience. We have a segment every day called Mix It Up, where we bring on a Republican and a Democrat. We throw out topics. We have thoughtful conversation, and the agreement is no matter what is said, at the end, we shake hands, we part friends. And we call our audience that we're trying to appeal to the purple people, that they're not just binary. I'm everything red or everything blue. You're not necessarily everything red. But you go out there and you cover, these Antifa protests and other things because you're a journalist and you believe in free speech. And then some people find it okay, I guess, to attack you and physically beat the hell out of you. Tell us a little bit about the state of free speech today in our country.
Well, my observations as a journalist is that if you cannot be relied on to provide consistent favorable coverage to far-left activists, that puts a target on you to be menaced or intimidated, or in my case, beaten and robbed, of which there's been no arrest, by the way, 2.5 months out.
So there are, I've seen it, there's plenty of video out there. There were police around for this Antifa protest. Many of the attackers had their faces covered, but we have some of the greatest scientific processes in the world. There's no video, there's no photo, there's no identifying qualities on any of these people, any DNA on you. Just the cops don't want to investigate, or it's been investigated and they can't find anyone.
Well, here's the frustrating thing. So most of the people were masked who attacked me, but some of them weren't. And we actually provided to the police the names of at least one of these individuals pretty soon after what happened to me. And there hasn't been an arrest. I don't know what's going on. The whole policing issue in Portland has lots of problems. I think it stems probably from leadership, in that our mayor, our Democratic mayor, is also the police commissioner. And he's spoken quite in support of Antifa causes and goals, I would say.
Wow.
Andy, there's an article about you in yesterday's Rolling Stone headline, how a right-wing troll managed to manipulate the mainstream media. What exactly is Rolling Stone accusing you of, and why are they wrong?
Well, so what's become very clear to me is Antifa draws their morale from a large number of journalists and publications in the left-wing press who provide them favorable coverage and hide their extremism. So this piece was just a hit piece. It makes a number of repeats some defamatory claims. It really stems from a blog post that came out 2 weeks ago in a left-wing paper in Portland, where they interviewed an Antifa activist. And the headlines were a bit salacious because he went undercover for 2 years and he released this 18-minute video that supposedly is damning. What it shows me doing is standing on a public street with other journalists when there are right-wing activists near me. And they said that because I was there, that I was party to a violent criminal conspiracy. It's part of the flipping the script. What happened that day on the May 1st is actually I was the one who was attacked. I was assaulted, sprayed in the face with bear mace, and now they're somehow spinning it as I was working with aggressors. This is what Antifa does. I mean, it goes in the name. They call themselves anti-fascists. We all know they're anything but. They accuse others of doing what they actually do. And unfortunately, they can rely on quite a large number of journalists and powerful influencers on social media who will make them seem acceptable in the mainstream, and it's working. I mean, with just with what happened in Boston this past weekend, 36 people were arrested, charged with very serious things: assault and battery on police officers, assault with a dangerous weapon. And who else tweeted out the link for crowdfunding support for them? AOC and Ayanna Pressley.
So they're actually advocating for support and funds for these people who are attacking police, and the discourse is getting worse as you see it, right? What Let me ask you this: when you went out in the video that's gone viral, and you were attacked in that Antifa protest, did you have any weapons on you?
No.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Not a knife,
No.
a stick, a billy club, a gun, nothing. But allegedly you were there to incite violence.
That's what they say. I noticed in the hours when I was actually in the hospital, I was seeing how is Antifa responding, and when they were seeing that the outrage that was coming from both the left and the right, some of the activists in the Portland area started saying that I was actually the first to assault people. Blatantly false. And it goes really to the heart of the issue, which is that they are not just against free speech. They believe in shutting down their ideological opponents by any means necessary. And they actually adopt that as, like, some of the groups adopt that name. And so that means whether you lie about your opponents, you attack them, you beat them, you even potentially try to kill them. I mean, some of the weapons that they bring out to this that I see: bats, crowbars, bricks.
Someone said they were throwing concrete on you?
So that was
mixed cement or something?
That was a claim that was put out by Portland police. I have never repeated it because, unfortunately, the Portland police made the mistake of never collecting samples to confirm this definitively in the lab, right? So, however, all the stuff that landed on me that day was collected as evidence. So we'll see, but it's to be determined if there was concrete mix.
Just so people understand at home, you obviously, you have a diverse background, right? You have some Asian nation of origin. You spent time in the UK. Mm-hmm. Now you're in the US. Are you a staunch conservative Republican?
I've been pegged a lot as a conservative writer. I think because of my parents' experience with escaping communism and actually living through a Marxist revolution, being in prison, in labor camp, re-education camp, I don't have the luxury of viewing socialism with the same type of rose-colored glasses that my peers in Portland do, or many people here in Brooklyn do. So because of my criticisms of that type of political ideologies, people perceive me to be on the right, and I'm okay with that. I'm very grateful for the citizenship that I have and the home that's been provided to my family in the West. So what's missing among my peers and many people in journalism is gratitude.
Now, Andy, you haven't let this incident, the attack that I think a lot of the audience probably knows you best from, you haven't let that slow you down in terms of your journalism. If people want to follow what you're writing and the stories you're covering, what's the best place for them to do that?
So I'm a freelance writer. You'll see me publish all over the place: New York Post, National Review, and sometimes Wall Street Journal. But to keep up to date, I would say go to my Twitter, which my handle is at Mr. Andy Ngo.
With NGO.
NGO, like non-governmental organization.
Or the nephew of Dr. No.
Yes.
Mr. Andy, Mr. Andy, no. So what do you have? I think like you said it best. These people, they're not for free speech. They're for free speech they agree with or that advocates for their thoughts. And I saw General Jim Mattis, former defense secretary, who was on MSNBC today, and he was saying one of the corrosive things going on in our society is both sides think they're right about everything, and the other side is wrong about everything. And it seems like we need to find a little more common ground, at least to protect those like you who are out there fighting for free speech. I want to thank you for joining us on Liquid Lunch. That's Andy Ngo. Go check out his work. He's a patriot. He's a legal immigrant, and he understands the ills and pains of real communism and socialism, unlike the Squad. You're watching Liquid Lunch. We'll be back right after this.